We got an evacuation order for the town of Osoyoos in BC after a wildfire crossed over from the US. We've seen record heat in parts of America. We may have had the warmest month in a long time, millennia, on planet Earth. Wildfires have plagued countries such as Greece, Italy, and their Mediterranean neighbours. Our guest says we are getting serious signs when it comes to climate change. And meanwhile, the oceans themselves are getting warmer. We're joined by Tom Rand, managing entrepreneur. Tom, thanks very much. We are going to look at some graphs now, but one of your theses here is that for a long time we've been looking at these graphs showing diminishing ice and rising temperatures, but people are actually feeling it physically, physical effects right now this summer.
Oh, yeah, I think 2023 is a landmark year. I mean, it is an El Nino year, but in my mind, this was always going to start in an El Nino year. We're seeing, we've seen graphs and scientists talking about climate risk and all sorts of nerdy warnings that got more and more urgent. But I think the public, people in 2023 are beginning to feel what climate risk is really about. And I think what's really important to keep in mind is that as we reduce emissions, the temperature doesn't go down, right? It's only going up from here. Like, this is probably the coolest year we'll see for the next several hundred. And so as it begins to bite and people feel it and they feel fear, I think we're beginning to understand the qualitative nature of climate risk. And I think personally, it's very important to begin thinking about, as a person, as well as an investor, about resilience, because while it's very important to keep mitigating, it's never been more important to reduce emissions. It's too late now to stop at sort of safe levels, 1.5 or 2. I think these are in the rearview mirror, and I think it's understood it's in the rearview mirror now. And we need to think about resilience as a secondary effect of climate. And so that's where my head is going. How do we build a resilient society? How does it affect our investment decisions? How does it affect my ability as a father to give my kid opportunity? I think these are fundamental questions for our country and for the investment community and for us as people.
We do have some of these graphs. Let's start off with carbon pollution in Greece, just exploding over the recent while because of these fires.
Well, we've seen actually Canada's forests, for example, turn from a carbon sink into a carbon source as trees have dried out and they start to burn. One of the very dangerous things, the tipping points that we talk about, is when we perturb natural systems. And instead of them helping us out, I mean, the oceans have been hiding our heat for the past decade or so. Now they're releasing it. Our forests have been absorbing our carbon for a while. Now they're beginning to release it. If nature turns from sink to source, I think this is all over, frankly. It's Mad Max. And that's really what we're trying to do. We're trying to buy time now to reduce emissions fast enough that we can begin to get natural systems, in check, and figuring out ways to sort of make them more resilient, as well as our own societies more resilient. Because yes, as we see carbon emitting from our forests that used to absorb that carbon, now we're really playing with fire, so to speak, because the natural carbon cycles are much larger than our own carbon cycles. And we don't want to let those start rolling downhill, or, again, as I said, well, it'll be a very different conversation.
It's interesting here. I see the BBC quotes Nathan Gillett, a research department in the Federal Environment Department, as saying, human-induced climate change is warming Canada at about twice the global average rate. I guess northern latitudes, we often hear, are warming faster. But you have been doing some research. You think parts of Quebec could be the best place to be in this pessimistic scenario of a warming world?
Well, if I was anywhere else on this planet, I would pick the Quebec countryside to live in for different reasons. Canada's a great country to live in. It's going to hit us less harshly than America, which has areas turning to desert as we speak. There's no safe place on Earth, that's to be clear. But if I was to choose a place, I would probably be here in Quebec, in the countryside, in a society that takes care of its own, in the northern latitudes. But that doesn't mean we're safe. And because part of the point I make when I talk about living in the Quebec countryside is I'm still going to get most of my food from the grocery store. I still live in an interconnected web of human activity. My kid isn't going to grow up under a tree by himself. He's going to grow up with other people, figuring out how to make society safe and build social bonds. And so, we can't escape this thing. I've done the best I can being in the Quebec countryside, But I think you run up against limits. And you understand we're in this together, and we require political solutions to things like food security, military security. Civic infrastructure, when it gets stressed, will bring all kinds of stresses that we're not anticipating. And we need to think as a people, as a political entity, how we begin to approach those things. I'll give you kind of one quick example that's an investment. We normally invest in infrastructure to make us healthier and wealthier and more productive. That's what highways and hospitals and schools and so on. We will now spend most of our precious capital as a government and as investment communities in making our own infrastructure more resilient, rebuilding highways that flood, making things more fire and flood resistant. And so instead of having infrastructure spending make us more productive, it's like the Red Queen race in Alice in Wonderland. We're going to run to stay in the same place. It's going to spend an awful lot of money, an awful lot of resources, just trying to stay where we are. So even that as a thesis, we need to begin to think about. And that's the case here in Quebec as well as anywhere else.